What if I told you that everything we thought we knew about LeBron James and the Lakers just got turned upside down? What was just reported on ESPN's Sports Center completely shifts the narrative. We're not just talking about free agency or another off-season tweak. We're talking about the end of an era in Los Angeles. According to top-tier insiders like Ramona Shelburne, Brian Windhorst, and Shams Charania, the Lakers may already be planning a future without LeBron, and that future could come sooner than anyone expected. We've got behind-the-scenes details, new tensions between LeBron and the front office, and major updates about the role Luka Doncic is playing in all of this. Add in JJ Redick, Bronny James, and even a surprise mention of the Golden State Warriors possibly making a move, and you've got the kind of story you won't want to miss. I'm going to break it all down, exactly what was said, what it means, and why the entire basketball world is suddenly on edge. Trust me, stay with me through the end of this video, because what you're about to hear changes everything. So here's what was just reported on SportsCenter today, and it completely changes the way we've been thinking about the Lakers and LeBron James. According to several high-profile insiders, including Ramona Shelburne, Brian Windhorst, and Shams Charania, everything has shifted regarding not just Rob Pelinka's off-season strategy, but the long-term direction of this franchise as it relates to LeBron. This isn't just about roster building anymore. This is about the future of one of the greatest players of all time in Los Angeles. Let's break it all down, because the reports that dropped this morning caught a lot of people off guard. It's been known for a while that the Lakers were eyeing a center, maybe a new point of attack defender, trying to round out the edges of a contending roster. But what we heard today goes much deeper than that. According to these insiders, signs now point toward the Lakers planning to move on from LeBron James by the end of the 2025-2026 season. And, apparently, that intention has been clear for some time within the organization. The Lakers reportedly made a statement by not extending LeBron beyond this upcoming year. For a player who's been the face of the franchise and arguably still one of the best in the league, that's a loud message. The team, it seems, is preparing for life after LeBron, even if he himself hasn't decided exactly when he'll call it a career. The narrative from the report painted a picture of a set end date, spring of 2026. That's when, if everything goes according to the internal vision, the Lakers' era of LeBron would come to a close. But what makes this even more interesting is what's been happening behind the scenes. According to ESPN's coverage, LeBron has understood the organization's desire to build around a younger superstar, most likely referencing the team's sudden move to acquire Luka Doncic. However, the report says that LeBron has at times felt left out of the process, even lost during the transition. That's not something we hear often about him, especially considering his reputation as one of the most involved players when it comes to roster and personnel decisions. Think about it. LeBron has been labeled the de facto GM in every stop of his career. He's usually looped into every major move, but this latest one, this pivot toward a younger core and a long-term rebuild, was reportedly orchestrated quietly between Rob Pelinka and Nico Harrison. It caught LeBron a bit off guard, and while it's possible he knew about the move before it was finalized, there seems to be a sense of frustration from his side about not being included the way he usually is. And then Shams took it one step further. According to him, LeBron is well aware now that the franchise is operating with the future in mind. He's reading the writing on the wall and understands that his time in LA might be winding down. It's not an emotional farewell just yet, but the tone has changed. The team is clearly thinking about what comes next. Remember, a few weeks ago, there were small rumors floating around about a possible LeBron trade. At the time, it felt like noise, something easy to ignore. But now, with multiple insiders backing up the idea that the Lakers are seriously planning for life beyond him, it's harder to dismiss. It's not about this season. He's going to play. But the bigger question now is what comes after, and how soon that transition really begins. So, following up on what was just covered on SportsCenter, things around LeBron James are only getting more complicated. And while the amount of reporting is increasing, making some of it feel more solid, the reality of what's going on behind the scenes is still layered and a bit messy. Now, Anthony Irwin, say what you will about him, put it bluntly. People didn't like what he shared about the situation last night, but he insists this tension between LeBron and the Lakers has been building quietly for months. And honestly, based on the recent development, it's hard to disagree. Irwin said straight up that LeBron and the Lakers are not on the same page right now. And that's tough to hear, especially when you consider what kind of opportunity this team has with LeBron and Luka Doncic playing together. That's a serious championship-caliber duo. A healthy LeBron, fully locked in, has always meant a deep playoff run is possible. And if you look at the current Lakers roster, with a strong starting five and solid reinforcements, this team should absolutely be in the mix. What's wild is that LeBron has never been known to check out or show up half-hearted. He's shown year after year that he gives everything, and there's no reason to think this season will be any different. If he's wearing a Lakers jersey come October, you can bet he'll be focused and giving his all. But the fact that the relationship between him and the front office seems strained definitely creates some tension, especially when you consider that JJ Redick is now head coach, a hire that LeBron likely had a big influence on, and yet it feels like the direction of the team is being guided more by a forward-looking strategy than anything else. Brian Windhorst even said it clearly. This offseason is about Luka Doncic, not LeBron. That's the focus. It's not about who they bring in at center or whether LeBron picks up his option. The top priority for this organization is securing Luka's long-term commitment, locking him into a fresh extension, and everything else, including LeBron, is secondary right now. That's the message they're sending. Of course, Luka hasn't signed that deal yet, but all signs are pointing toward it happening soon. And when it does, the team believes they'll be set up for success down the road. Rob Pelinka made the Doncic trade move with the future in mind. Whether or not LeBron fully agreed with the way it happened, the Lakers are clearly investing in Luka as the next franchise cornerstone. What makes this all more personal, though, is what came out next. LeBron reportedly feels that the Lakers haven't fully appreciated what he's brought to the table, that the shift toward Luka has come at the cost of acknowledging everything James has done for the franchise. You've got to remember, he chose the Lakers back in 2018 when they were at rock bottom, missing the playoffs 5 straight seasons, and then he delivered them a championship just 2 years later. That counts for something. But now, it feels like the organization is moving forward whether he's on board or not. And to be honest, we're getting closer to a situation where a real separation could happen. Not saying LeBron is demanding a trade right now, but the direction is starting to shift, and more people are beginning to notice. Even the Golden State Warriors reportedly gave real thought to making an offer for LeBron, especially after Rich Paul's cryptic message stirred the pot. Ultimately, they didn't follow through, but that's the level of interest out there. A lot of teams would give up almost anything to bring in LeBron James, even in the late stages of his career. Let me know how you all feel about this whole thing. It's starting to reach a turning point, whether you see that as exciting or concerning, depending on your point of view. And before I wrap this segment, I want to touch briefly on LeBron's son, Bronny James. Last night we watched him face off against Cooper Flagg, and honestly, I liked what I saw. Even though Flagg has a significant size advantage, Bronny showed real toughness, especially on defense. There was even a moment he got called for a pretty questionable foul while trying to hold his ground in the post. And that clip's already going around. Bronny showed physicality, effort, and confidence, and that's all you want from a young guy trying to prove himself. Last season, in just 11 games, he impressed with averages of 21 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists. That's not nothing, especially considering he was picked 55th overall. And given the current guard rotation and the team missing out on names like DeAnthony Melton, Bronny's going to get a legit opportunity to earn minutes this year. So, yeah, that's the latest, both on the big picture with LeBron and the early steps of Bronny's path. Things are heating up in Lakerland, and we'll be watching closely. So, on First Talk earlier today, the panel opened with the latest buzz around the Lakers. And believe me, this one's heating up. As we all keep waiting, some of us more patiently than others, for LA's next big move, the insiders are reporting a clear direction. The Lakers are aggressively working the phones, hunting for a wing who brings serious defensive toughness. According to both Brett Siegel over at Clutch Points and Dave McMenamin of ESPN, the front office is in full swing, targeting defensive-minded wing. Brett even went on record saying he expects a deal to get done before the month closes. So naturally, the question now is, who are they actually looking at? What type of player fits the mold? And is this even the right move for LA? The crew broke it all down. Starting with McMenamin's latest intel, he confirmed that the Lakers have indeed had trade discussions with Miami around Andrew Wiggins. Yep, Wiggins. That lines up with some earlier chatter from other reports too. But here's the thing, they're only considering the move if the price is right. That's key. And that leads us into the next checkpoint, Shake Milton. According to McMenamin, the next domino in the Lakers' off-season plan revolves around Milton's contract guarantee date, which hits on July 20th. If you're not familiar, Milton's deal is only partially guaranteed until that date. So what LA decides there, whether they keep him or waive him, could open up options. Now, one of the analysts on First Talk made a great point. While Shake Milton's a serviceable backup guard, he doesn't exactly move the needle for LA. He's not a standout defender, not elite from three, and just doesn't offer the type of impact the Lakers seem to be prioritizing right now. So the belief among the panel was that Milton's likely gone, not a matter of if, but when. And once that move happens, it opens the door for LA to either absorb an extra player in a trade or clear cap space for a new free agent signing. That brings us back to Brett Siegel's report. He mentioned the Lakers are highly active in trade conversations for that elusive two-way wing. One interesting nugget, he floated the Portland Trail Blazers as a possible trade partner, mainly because of the connection between Rob Pelinka and Joe Cronin, Portland's GM. Now, let's pause here. Historically, the Lakers and Blazers haven't done much business. Only 2 trades between them in league history, with the last one way back in 1980. But if the front offices genuinely have a strong rapport, as Siegel suggests, it could lay the foundation for something. That actually led to another great comparison one of the First Talk analysts brought up, the Luka Doncic trade. That deal happened largely thanks to Pelinka's relationship with Dallas GM Nico Harrison. So we can't rule out a repeat scenario here, even if history between the Lakers and Blazers is thin. So if Portland really is a potential trade partner, who might be on the table? That's where the name Matisse Thybulle comes up. Anthony Irwin of Clutch Points has floated his name as a potential Lakers target too, and it actually makes a lot of sense. The Lakers need someone who can defend at a high level, and that's literally what Thybulle is built for. One of the hosts pointed out that yes, Thybulle's coming off a rough year, just 15 games played due to ankle and knee issues. But prior to that, he was the picture of durability, consistently logging 65-plus games a season even during the shortened COVID year. So this might have just been an outlier. And when healthy, Thybulle is a defensive force. Lockdown perimeter guy, elite lateral quickness, can guard 1 through 3, sometimes even switch on to 4. And let's be real, that's exactly what the Lakers are starving for right now. Developing that offensive skill set little by little, but let's be honest, what keeps Matisse Thybulle in the league is his defense. And that's where First Talk focused. His instincts in the passing lanes, top tier. He's averaging over 1.5 steals per game throughout his career, and that's in limited minutes too. If you stretch that out per 36, he's pushing 2 steals a night. That's elite defensive playmaking, but it's not just about the steal. One of the panelists highlighted how disciplined he is in one-on-one situations. Thybulle isn't just a gambler. He's someone who can actually take on the toughest perimeter assignment night after night, whether that's a shifty point guard, a volume shooting 2, or even a physical small forward. And if he's healthy, he's a plug-and-play defender in almost any lineup. Now, of course, The elephant in the room is the injury. Just 15 games played last season, which obviously raises some concern. But the hosts pointed out this was an anomaly. Until then, he'd been incredibly durable, consistently logging over 65 games a year. So this may have just been a one-off season. And ironically, that could play in the Lakers' favor. With Thybulle on an expiring $11.5 million deal and coming off a down year, the price tag in trade talks could be much lower than usual. The guys on First Talk speculated it might only take someone like Gabe Vincent and a future second-round pick to get it done. Maybe even less. Portland is trending younger, and Thybulle doesn't appear to be part of their long-term rotation anymore. They've got Denny Avdija now. They're trying to elevate young wings like Chris Murray and Toumani Camara, and they're still carrying that massive contract from Jeremy Grant. The Trailblazers are clearly rebuilding, and Thybulle just doesn't fit where they're headed. But here's the part the show dug into. Beyond the defense, Thybulle has shown subtle offensive growth. He's not going to light it up from deep, but he has quietly become a league-average three-point shooter. In fact, from the start of the 2022-23 season through last year, he's hit over 36% from beyond the arc. Not bad at all, especially considering most of those attempts come from the corners, where he's shooting nearly 38%. The panel made a great point here. Imagine Thybulle in a lineup alongside top-tier creators like LeBron James, Austin Reeves, and Luka Doncic. That kind of elite playmaking would make life easier for a guy like Thybulle. In Portland, he was often stuck in no man's land offensively, but in LA, he'd be getting wide-open catch-and-shoot looks on the regular. Now, nobody's saying he's suddenly going to shoot 40% on high volume, but realistically, if he can give you a steady 35% from deep while continuing to be a pest on defense, that's a perfect low-cost, high-upside role player. So the verdict from First Talk was clear. While Thybulle might not be the flashiest name out there, he's one of the most realistic targets for what the Lakers are trying to do. He fits the need for a defensive-minded wing. He matches the timeline of a team still building around Luka's prime, and he won't cost an arm and a leg to acquire. But just in case a deal for Thybulle doesn't materialize, the panel asked, is there anyone else on Portland's roster that might interest the Lakers? There was a pause there because, honestly, the options are slim. Sure, there's been some past talk about Jeremy Grant, but that conversation died quickly. Nobody on the panel was interested in that contract, especially with Grant on the decline and never really being a committed defender to begin with. And while someone floated Drew Holiday's name for a second, he's already 35 and on a hefty deal. As one analyst put it, it's just not the kind of contract the Lakers should be targeting right now, especially not for a team still juggling its cap around LeBron and Luka. So, if it's not Thybulle, it's hard to see Portland offering much else. But for now, the Lakers have a legitimate shot at landing a low-cost, high-impact defender in Thybulle. And that, according to First Talk, might be the smart play before this month wraps up. Now, to close things out, the panel turned their attention briefly to Robert Williams. There was a short discussion about whether the Lakers might kick the tires on him as a potential backup center. And on paper, sure, his rim protection, mobility, and defensive instincts check a lot of boxes. But when the hosts looked deeper, it became clear that Rob just doesn't make a ton of sense for this roster right now. Jackson Hayes already fills that bench big man role, and more importantly, Williams' availability has been a serious issue. He's averaged just 33 games a year. That's barely half a season. So even giving up a low-end asset like Gabe Vincent or KBA and a second-rounder, that might still be too steep for someone with that kind of medical history. With that, the focus shifted back to Andrew Wiggins. The First Talk crew mentioned that Dave McMenamin brought up the Lakers' previous trade talks, reportedly connecting with Miami during draft night to explore a potential Wiggins deal. But, as has been echoed many times, it would only happen at the right price. And that's where things got interesting. Multiple voices on the show broke down what that right price might look like. One scenario floating around was Rui Hachimura plus Dalton Knecht, and the Lakers' only tradable first-round pick. And to be honest, That drew some strong reactions, mostly no's across the board. Wiggins is a quality player. If he's healthy and locked in, he's one of the best 3-and-D wings in the league. Someone who can guard 1 through 4, knock down open threes, and serve as a secondary or even tertiary scorer. That's exactly the prototype the Lakers are hunting. But the price tag is a sticking point. The panelists weren't denying his talent. They acknowledged that at his peak, Wiggins was pivotal for Golden State's 2022 title run. But at 30 years old, there's a real debate about whether he's entering the tail end of his prime. Add in the fact that he's owed over $30 million this season, and more after that, and it gets complicated. He's not on a bad contract like Jeremy Grant, but he's not exactly a bargain either. If he returns to peak form, then, yeah, maybe he's worth that salary. But right now, it's a gamble. And for the Lakers to give up their most valuable assets for that kind of risk just didn't sit right with the panel. So unless that asking price comes down, say, Wiggins in exchange for an expiring contract, and either Hachimura or Necht, not both, then it's a no-go. But if Golden State lowers the demand, there could still be a path forward. That's why, as the discussion wrapped up, the analysts circled back to the name that's been gaining traction, Matisse Thybulle. He might not be the most exciting name, he's not as offensively gifted as Wiggins, but in terms of what the Lakers actually need, a defensive-minded wing, someone who can take on tough assignments, and a guy who's easier to acquire. Thybulle fits the bill. He'd be more affordable, more attainable, and still fills a hole on the depth chart, whether as a rotation piece or spot starter. Maybe he doesn't move the needle in the same way as Wiggins would if he's locked in, but he gives you something, and he doesn't cost your future to get it. So that's where the first talk panel landed. The Lakers are absolutely active in the trade market, with their eyes clearly set on fixing their perimeter defense. They're exploring their options, some bigger swings, some more realistic. But all signs suggest something is coming. Now it's just a matter of whether it's Wiggins at a discount or Thybulle at a bargain. And with that, the show wrapped up by asking the audience, what do you think? Should the Lakers hold firm on their assets and wait for the perfect opportunity? Or should they make a move now to shore up the roster ahead of training camp? That's it for this breakdown. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss the next time we dive into the Lakers' front office chessboard. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time on First Talk.